It is Sunday morning, and you know what that means. It is time for the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, fantasy football wrap-up of this Thanksgiving weekend. There's still a lot to get to. There's still a lot of leftovers for the fantasy football world we got to dive into. Starts, sits, answering your question live. Also, the parlay party. We got our party hats on. We're going to build our ultimate betting ticket for Sunday and Monday. Some sick picks, and we'll talk a little Browns, too. Let's go.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, the sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
Chubb runs, he's to the 10, 15, he's to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There goes Chubb, he's to the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Shabba-lubba hub.
It's gonna be sick.
Hello, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Thursday football, Friday football, Saturday college football, and, of course, NFL Sunday. And the Browns don't play till Monday night. Feels like we've been riding this win over Pittsburgh on Thursday night football for a month. Like, it feels like the Browns haven't played forever, and we're just having a great time with hanging on to that. But the fun could stop Monday night in Denver. Place the Browns have not won in forever. I believe one time since '99, and it's going to be tough. But that's tomorrow's problem. I'll be live with you 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday Night Football for a Browns preview, some fantasy, look ahead, get you some DFS, maybe some DraftKings DFS plays, as well as some best bets. That's going to be on Monday night. But before that, we got a ton of stuff to get to. But first, I want to just chat about this Ohio State-Michigan game for a moment. Okay, that team up north, that Buckeyes loss yesterday. I was going to say win because they just instinctually felt win. By the way, notifications on. Click subscribe. Get us on X at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81, Instagram at AndyMCSport. Jump in the chat too on YouTube. There's Rick. How you doing, T-Wolf? T-Wolf in the house. There we go, brother. Griff Bordignon from YWC Talk is going to be joining me in a little bit. He's one of my old buddies, and he's has a great podcast, fantasy football, sports betting. So we're going to be jumping into that in a moment. But this was grinding my gears, if you will, folks. Okay, so the Buckeyes, 19.5-point favorites. I knew not to take the spread because I didn't think that was going to be able to be covered in that rivalry game. The Wolverines were without their top two corners, and the Buckeyes laid a giant fat egg. Okay, we know it. Don't have to relive it. Ryan Day, I'm kind of surprised he's not fired already. You got to go next year. That's it. You can't beat this Michigan team unranked, and you lose 13-10. You kick or miss two. Well, I was unimpressed with Will Howard. I love his size though, 6'4", 230. Oof. But I was more unimpressed with Chip Kelly's uncreative offense. Where's the Chip Kelly from Oregon? Or Philly would do razzle-dazzle, we're flicking stuff, we're running, we're misdirection. 3rd and 10, you're running up the middle. What are you doing? But here's what really pissed me off yesterday. So everybody dumping on the Buckeye. How classless. They attacked Michigan for planting their flag, and they went after police had to use pepper spray. Yeah. Do you people, you national people, not realize that in rivalry college football, if you plant the flag, you better be ready to throw down. Okay? I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's the facts. Case in point, Baker Mayfield planted the Oklahoma flag in Ohio Stadium, right? Ohio State Stadium. Years later, Nick Bosa on the 49ers, who played on that Buckeyes team, speared Baker like he was Bill Goldberg when he played the Browns and did the fake plant the flag. The guys don't forget about that. So here's my point. Michigan, you went and you planted the flag after you squeaked out a win in Ohio State. Huge victory, okay? Give you credit, rivalry game, you played spoiler. You're unranked, your team sucks, your quarterback blows. But you won, good for you. Okay? Upset. That's good. You went and planted the flag, and then you were mad. It's akin to if you push somebody and they punch you in the face in return. Should the guy have punched you in the face? No. But you know how you could have avoided that? By not pushing them. You planted the flag in a heated rivalry game against a team that's really pissed off and underperformed. And I heard, they should have put that fight in during the game, Ohio State. Sure, they should have. Yeah, but they didn't. And so you did that, and things got out of hand. So should Buckeye players have acted how they did? No, but you knew you were rubbing it in their face. And so too bad. I got no pity for the Wolverines and what happened to them and how they act. They said cops had to pepper spray players to break it up. Too bad. You plant the flag, you pay the consequences, little punks. And at Ohio State, man, you better get your stuff sorted out. Wow. Tough day for the Buckeyes. Anyway, I need to get that off my chest. Browns NFL show, but that was pissing me off with all that. Some injuries to go through. Fantasy football-wise, we got to be ready for. Let me pull these up. So we know J.K. Dobbins on the IR again. J.K., speaking of former Buckeyes, oh my gosh, having such a good season for the Chargers. Back on the IR. So now it's a schmoz, right? He's like Gus Edwards, Kamani Vidal, Haskins. Like, you got to, goal line probably Edwards, but most likely we're probably just seeing a cannibalism on target shares and carries. And that sucks because J.K. Dobbins was having a great year. James Conner to an extension for the Cardinals. If you have a better option, which you probably don't, but if you did at running back, I'm a little wary of the matchup this week. Trevor Lawrence is expected to play Jaguars versus Texans. It's better than Mac Jones. I know Trevor Lawrence hasn't had a great year. Good news for Brian Thomas, I think, if he can stay on the field. And Buffalo Bills rule out Dalton Kincaid at tight end in what is looking like a snowball. We'll get into some betting strategies for that. But fantasy-wise, Bills 49ers, unless you're named Josh Allen or Christian McCaffrey, I am very wary. I pulled Amari Cooper out of my lineup because the weather report, it's going to be freezing. The weather still should be bad. Could it stop? Sure, but and that 44.5 over-under total, sneak peek, we're taking the under on that one, man. No way. But be very cautious on the fantasy side when it comes to that. So we'll get into some start sits as we move along. And all this fantasy talk, by the way, means you can get your questions in using hashtag Ask Andy. Hashtag Ask Andy. Get those fantasy questions in now. If you're in the YouTube chat, like Rick, like Thunderwolf, you can get your questions in there. Get your betting questions in. Also, I want to know your fantasy plays. If you got a hot start that you like, if you got a hot bet you're digging. I forget the ones you did last week, Rick, but you had some good ones last week. You had a couple like zingers. I don't know if they hit or not, but I liked them last week. So get them in on X at SickPodBrowns, at Andy Embassy 81. Use hashtag Ask Andy, and on Instagram at Andy MC Sports. And hey, our guest hotline, which we'll open up in a moment, is brought to you by Stadium Mustard. That's right, kids. Stadium Mustard. From ballparks to backyards and everywhere in between, Stadium Mustard is a smooth but spicy mustard, rich in taste and tradition. Stadium Mustard is real and organic, not manufactured. You can get it at Cleveland Browns Stadium. I've had it on the dogs there in the dog pound. Phenomenal. You can get it in Cleveland. You can get it over America. And you can get it in Canada too. Stadium Mustard, I'm telling you guys, I love it on chicken tenders. The deli sandwiches, burgers, hot dogs are great, but try it on chicken tenders. Very nice. Stadium Mustard. Get it. And on our Monday show, we're going to have a little contest. We're going to be giving away another red or black Stadium Mustard shirt from Bill and the guys at Stadium Mustard. Love them. Okay, let's talk some fantasy. Let's talk some parlay party. Let's get it cooking, and let's bring in Griff Bordignon from YWC. Talk, my guy. Oh, stop. Look at you. Look at you. How you doing?
We suck, but I still got to support. It's throwback day in Foxborough today. That's all I got to say.
Dude, you're speaking my language. We suck, but you got to represent. That's kind of our Browns fan thing, right? You got to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Like it's the fun saying of it's easy to root for a winner, but it's more difficult to root for a loser. So
correct. And then if they do eventually do well, which I'm still waiting for, then it really pays off. I love that old Pat's logo though. The down that's a cool one. I like that. Yeah,
it's right here. It's right here.
There you
go.
A
towel. I got a hat. I got a lot. When I went to Boston 2 years ago, I got so much of it.
And in Boston Patriots, right? Yeah, because they were Boston Patriots first, and then switched over to New England, right?
Yes, and for this cold Ontario day, I gotta go with the fleece crew neck and not just a regular T-shirt.
Well, hey, you know what? Let's start real quick with the Sunday night game here because I was talking about it off the top. You've seen the on social media. This is another one of those games where they're going to be paying what?
Josh Allen too.
Oh, Josh Allen. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. He's going to be feeling good, right? But the fans might have to dig themselves out of this, like where you get the free tickets if you dig the snow. Like this looks like a nasty game. I'm very wary betting and fantasy-wise on this, Griff.
That's the inside of the stadium last night.
Oh, my gosh. And it doesn't look like it's getting any better now.
No, like it's literally, it's like, I'm just going to show up to the camera. Like,
yeah.
This is from the Bills official Twitter, by the way. It's not just like some random
fan. That's the official Twitter.
Winter Wonderland.
Oh, boy. Well, and here's the other thing, too. It's at night.
Yes.
Which means it's going to be even colder.
Yes.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Let's combine our fantasy and betting talk here for a sec.
Yeah.
On the betting side, Griff, that 44.5 is screaming under. Screaming. Field goal day.
Yeah, no, I was doing this for field goal day, but this for under as well. Field goals are interesting because Tyler Bass can be a little wonky, especially in weather conditions like this. My thing with this game is just it's a snowball. It screams 20-17. But Wednesday night, you were on my show, and you said Drew Lock, which it cashed gloriously.
Plus 600. How about it?
Tonight,
whew,
I'm on Josh Allen to do the same thing. Little less odds, plus 110, but I parlayed. Yep. I did a parlay with, if you guys follow me on social media, I basically and I know you're sponsored by, basically there was a build your ticket filter on TikTok. And I did 3 legs, and that's one of them. So I just think, look, between the weather, between the fact that it's a night game, between the fact that they can clinch, between the fact that he just put a ring on his girlfriend, Haley Steinfeld, everything seems to be coming up right for Josh Allen.
It seems really good. Now, not to be funny, but Haley Steinfeld, is that any relation to Jerry Seinfeld? I don't know.
Steinfeld, Stein.
Stein. Like that would have been a cool twist.
She's been in some movies and some music and stuff. Obviously, she's not as popular as Taylor Swift, but she's still a celebrity in her own right. But she's kind of like that quiet, like, hey, like Josh Allen, like this one of the best quarterbacks in the league just happens to be also dating a very famous person as well.
But they don't have to rub it in everybody's face like KK and K. Did you see one of my neighbor friends? She sent me some. She's like, have you seen this? They have those cheesy Hallmark Christmas movies?
Yep.
Did you know there's a Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift themed one that actually has Andy Reid and real Chiefs players, the Kelce's mom, in it released?
Did you know that the guy who plays Travis Kelce also played Rob Gronkowski in that newly released Aaron Hernandez American Story show? Look it up.
Are you serious?
That show too is such bad acting, but it's just so funny. Where you're playing both tight ends. Turns out it's a buddy of Gronk's too, so that's why he was like his body double. You know that, and
that's funny.
I know you're sponsored by DraftKings, but you know that Kick of Destiny thing that was doing. He was the body double for it as well. So it's just like fun little parallels.
What a weird little career niche. He's like, what do you do? I play tight ends.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like that. So let's combine this. We'll start our parlay ticket here. Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to start building this. Josh Allen, anytime touchdown. I'm with you here. Under 44.5. We got to take that. Okay. So we'll build that out. We're going to park the parlay party for now. Okay. We're going to have a little water, and then we'll come back with some cocktails as we get to the fantasy football side first and get those questions in as well. We'll pop up in a few minutes. Some of them hashtag Ask Andy. You can get that up there. The plays today, I got a little bit of a take for you. Jonathan Taylor of the Colts against your Pats. Okay. Yeah. Now, granted, the running back situation is ridiculous. You're probably have to start Jonathan Taylor. In one of my leagues, Griff, I don't necessarily have to, and I'm not. Here is my difference. He's at like 2-3 weeks in a row, like single digits. Like he's been bad. The Patriots defense can be stingy, and you got Anthony Richardson who's running around and is totally unpredictable. Instead, I'm going double dip. I'm going all in on Baker's Bucks this week. Rachaad White and Bucky Irving, the rare double dip running back fantasy play, and I'm benching Jonathan Taylor in this situation. What do you think of that?
So, you know what? I do like it. I do think Rachaad White has the bigger week just because I find when you have tandem running backs, I feel like when one goes off one week, it's kind of like everyone goes crazy in on them the next week. It's like, oh, got to start Bucky. So it's good there that you have that security blanket with Rachaad White in the backfield. Carolina has looked good lately, but there's still a bit of a stingy run defense as well. Up front, they're not. Besides Derek Brown, who I believe has been out for the entire season, there's been no hope there even since Brian Burns got traded. And that was 9 months ago.
Right.
So I like that. I actually have a question for you. So I currently have Bucks kicker Chase McLaughlin in one of my lineups.
Former Brown. Yep.
Do I keep McLaughlin or do I go get like Koo or Groupie, a guy who's kicking indoors today?
Ooh. So is this okay? It's in Carolina, so the weather's not going to be an issue.
No.
I like Koo personally.
He had a Q next to his name, though. That's the thing.
Ooh. Did he? Okay. You know what? If there's any question, we don't want to get cute with kickers if that's some sort of hammy. You know what? If he does, then stick where you're at. Like they could be scoring a lot of touchdowns. You know, I think you're going to be okay. If I don't know if Dicker the kicker, I got him in a couple leagues. He's probably gone, but if he's around, Cameron Dicker is always money.
Yes, and also I got to say too, shout out to me and my other take because guess who came through for you the other day? 13. He only had 13 points, but 2 touchdowns. Sam Laporta.
You know what? I benched him in 2 leagues because I was mad, and I had to start him in another, and I was pleased. Yeah, Laporte, 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a disaster season. It's like, remember Mike Evans had a couple of years like that, where it was like 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. Like, what's happening? Like,
I would have the year where I would basically have it where like one year I took because Chris Godwin went off, so I took Chris Godwin, and that's the year Mike Evans went crazy. So the next year I'm like, oh, I'll take Mike Evans, and then that's the year when Mike Evans didn't go crazy. I have Mike Evans now. I'm starting him today. By the way, like you have certain players bench like Amari Cooper. I benched Amari Cooper too. I also have Ricky Pearsall who's on my bench as well. I'm just not. If you have a wide receiver tonight in Buffalo, I wouldn't touch it. If there's any player who catches the ball for either team, I would lean on potentially the tight end play with either Dawson Knox or George Kittle. Both guys kind of thrive in certain environments. George Kittle is a Midwestern boy, so he is used to the weather. But I do think when you do have the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey and the ability of Josh Allen, even James Cook too. I was going to say James Cook. It's going to be a run-heavy game tonight in Buffalo.
I wanted to look. I'm just pulling up James Cook's stats. I want to see his receiving. 5 catches last game, 153. Yeah, you know what? I'd be leaning James Cook if I had to go anybody else. But really, the only 2 guys I'd be interested in playing are the 2 stars you're going to play anyway, Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey. I think those are the only pretty surefire things there. Boy, in that game. And real quick on the back to that Bucks Carolina game is when we look at, I can see the game going this way. And this is why I feel pretty confident playing both Bucky and White in the same game, because both have produced fantasy-wise double-digit points in the same game multiple times this year. But also, couldn't you see Bucks get up like 17-3, touchdown to Mike Evans, gets 1, and then they just, second half, you're just running the ball. You're just running the ball. You're feeding both guys, and you kind of tap out from there. That's why Baker Mayfield's had a great fantasy year overall for him. I'd be a little wary because I think Griff, it could be he gets up by a couple scores and then just hands it off.
As a Baker Mayfield owner in one of my leagues, I don't like hearing that, but also I did look ahead. Carolina and Tampa do get together again later this season in week 17, which for fantasy folks out there, that's a huge week. That is championship week. Also, because if you play week 18, that's just nonsense. Don't do that.
What are you doing? Yeah.
No, literally don't do that. But no, I can see a world where that happens. But then also too, the way the Panthers have been playing lately, I think we may see the bake show cook a little bit today, where it's like not a 17-point game, but I could see the Buccaneers pulling out like a touchdown or a 6-point win. Like I can see it because look too, and everyone's thinking from last week as well. Hey, look at how good Baker did against the Giants. The Giants are also crap, but you know what I mean? Where it's just like you have
except for Drew Lock.
Except for Drew Lock, and also Tyron Tracy also had a pretty good game for them.
Yeah, he did
on Thursday. But that's the thing I was just thinking about too, because with divisional games, you always have to look at it as they're going to be a little bit closer, especially for point spread. If a divisional favorite is more than 6 points, you go the opposite way towards the underdog. And then if the favorite's a low favorite, that's where you take them. Perfect example. This goes back to last year. That game where Vegas just wiped the floor with LA, got Brandon Staley and Tom Telesco fired. The Chargers were -3. The Chargers were coming off a bad loss to the Broncos, and the Raiders had that 3-0 debacle against the Vikings. Just look for those little nuanced clues in there. Like I like it. Like I have a point spread today that your fan base and you probably will hate me for, but we can get into that later on. Going back to the Bucs though, point spread wise, I would avoid this game, but I do
6.5 Bucs
that's
favorite.
Why I'm like, if I was to take a spread here, I'd probably lean Carolina, but eventually their luck does have to run out, kind of like Detroit's, where look, Detroit squeaked out a win as a 10.5 point dog, a 10.5 point favorite, excuse me. But with this game today, from a fantasy perspective, I do like the run game, but also too, Mike Evans had a relatively quiet week last week, so I could see him getting in the end zone today as well.
Yep. You know what? We got a couple questions in. Let's get the hashtag Ask Andy, producer Shane.
Yes, sir.
All right, there we go. Nice little jingle, right?
Yeah.
Holiday mood. There you are. I have to have a little Santa hats to dancing on the question marks or something. Questions in YouTube chat and on social. Hashtag Ask Andy at SickPod Browns at AndyMC81, Instagram at AndyMC Sports. Griff, real quick, where can people get you on social?
At Mr. Griff B on Twitter, X, Instagram, and Griff Sports Talk on TikTok. I had to keep it a little bit more to the talk theme, you know?
Yes. Yeah, I like your TikToks. Okay, let's pull up. We got one from Twitter, I believe. Shane, let's pop that up. What do we got? There we go. At Mets14_ from Jordan. Andy, James Cook or Brian Thomas Jr. at the flex. I'm on the fence who to start. Texans have given up a league-high 17 touchdowns to receivers, though. So with Brian Thomas Jr., the news I mentioned off the top was Trevor Lawrence is expected to play. That's better news than Mac Jones. Is it good overall? I'm not sure, but Thomas Jr. and Lawrence have had success. James Cook, we just mentioned it. I think he's one of the few guys that eats. It's so unpredictable in the snow, though. I'm going to say, personally, I think the safer play is probably Brian Thomas Jr., so I'm going to go there. But again, Griff, we could easily see James Cook get a whole bunch of touches. I just get weird. Those snow games can be so weird. We saw the weird one in Cleveland back on the Thursday night when they beat the Steelers.
Yes, he did. Also, too, Browns plus 3.5 dog in that game. But
yeah.
This question right here, honestly, I lean towards James Cook more. I know Houston their secondary gives up a lot of touchdowns, but I look at this game as a revenge spot for the Texans. They looked terrible last week against a very sluggish Titans squad. And fun fact, too, whenever Houston goes to Jacksonville, even when Houston was horrendous, last year they were plus 8.5 point underdogs. They won the game outright. So here, and because of the weather, I'm going Buffalo just because for everything on the line, just because, look, Buffalo's on a roll. They're coming off a bye week. I know it's snowy. San Francisco, and here's the other thing, too. It's not like they're playing, my Patriots or they're playing the Jets or another team that's from the cold weather. They're playing a team from Northern California.
Yeah.
Look, Thursday night. Mike McDaniel looked freezing cold out there in the Lambeau.
They're so bad. They are so bad in the cold, the Dolphins.
What's the Niners? Bad. I know the Niners have won in the cold before, but I lean toward I for as much as I like Brian Thomas Jr., I have him in a couple leagues. I have to go James Cook here just because, look, I think this is a game where Houston just embarrasses Jacksonville today. I know you have a Jacksonville team coming off the bye, but and also too, fun fact, they re-signed Walker Little this morning. I don't know if you saw that offensive lineman. Yes. He was in the 2021 draft. They re-signed him this morning, kind of like how the James Conner news just kind of gets swept in there. But going back to this, I'm just going to say this. Let James cook, Let
James cook. I honestly, I don't mind either play today. Could get some garbage fantasy points for Brian Thomas Jr. as well. We got in the chat, Joseph Rossitano. Morning, Andy. Morning, Joseph. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. We got in the chat from Rick, our buddy. We got a fantasy question up there. What do we got? Pick up Tampa Bay defense for the rest of the year. The schedule is very good. Griff, you just mentioned you got 2 against Carolina. It's a good set. And, maybe especially with Mike Evans back, if Baker can get the team up a little bit, other teams have to force it. Maybe some more interceptions, maybe some more sacks on the pass rush. I'm digging the Tampa Bay defense. If one like overall, I like how the Minnesota defense has played better, but I'm a defensive streamer myself. I usually change every week or every other week.
Yeah.
So I'm fluid with it. But how the schedule is, I wouldn't mind that.
So their next 2 games are Carolina, Vegas, and then they go to the Chargers. And then here's the thing too, for your semifinals, they play Dallas week 16. By then, is it a Dallas team that's going to be fighting for their lives to get into the playoffs? Or is it a Dallas team that's written off? I like it for week 17, that Carolina there, because by then Carolina's season is probably going to be over. They're probably just trying to play spoiler. But I do like Rick's take just because you have a hungry Bucs squad who they're basically playing playoff football from Nat with them and Atlanta, essentially. You do have
winning.
You do have the Saints creeping, and I have to be careful what I say because my dad's a Saints fan, but you do have, with the Saints creeping in there as well. So you kind of have, with the Buccaneers, they can't afford to lose any games down the stretch. You slip up one week, you go there. So I do like it, but I do like your streamlining defensive strategy. There's also another question that Rick asked that I'm very intrigued to answer.
Oh, let's see. What do we got, Rick? Let's pop it up. Ooh, Bo Nix versus Cleveland. Jaden Daniels versus Tennessee. Who would have thought Bo Nix creeping up the offensive rookie of the year conversation? And Jaden Daniels, Griff, he hasn't looked right since that rib injuries. Tennessee's defense is tight. Look, I hope I'm wrong. But Bo Nix has been absolutely sensational, and Denver has been a house of horrors for my Browns over the years. They've going back to the 80s. They just can't seem to win there. Jameis doesn't care. You could go in and throw it up, but I think regardless of the result, Bo Nix, man, that Browns defense is inconsistent, especially in this secondary at safety spot. Sadly, if I take my fan cap up and just put the fantasy hat on, I got to say Bo Nix. Got to say Bo. It's too good right now.
I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to say Jaden
Hope
Daniels.
You're right.
I think, no, I'm not. I'm doing this like, well, two reasons. One, because I like you. Two is the fact that you have Jaden Daniels, because here's how Washington, Tennessee, this is a perfect matchup, especially for sports bettors out there. You have a Washington team coming off a really, really bad loss to a Dallas Cowboy squad last week.
Shocking.
Tennessee squad that overachieved against a Houston Texans team that's going to win that division. This is a comeback down to earth game for the Tennessee Titans. I think this is kind of the game where this is a get right game for Jaden Daniels. And also because with Bo Nix as well, Bo Nix is due for one of those just weird, goofy games where,
Monday night.
Monday night, the pieces don't go together. For Cleveland, look, you guys don't have anything to play. No offense, there's not a lot to play for in Cleveland.
If we win out, we can still get a wild card.
Same here. Win out, we go 8-9. But that's the thing with Jaden Daniels, where I look at it as it's the get right game. They've also lost a few. They lost 2 or 3 in a row. I know they lost on Thursday nighter to Philly.
Lost 3 in a row.
Exactly. They've lost 3 in a row. This is a perfect get right spot for the Commanders and Jaden Daniels, who are sitting at 7-5 right now. Because think about this. They have another loss. Dallas against Cincinnati next Monday night. Homer Simpson coaching them. You don't know what you're going to get. So I think this is a perfect spot for Jaden to get right.
Yeah, and if you look fantasy-wise, huge game, 32.4, depending on your fantasy point setup, game against the Cowboys. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but ran one in. That, at least to me, says production-wise fantasy, he's right. That's a big game you lost.
Yes.
In weird fashion, but your fantasy production's up. So I'm totally with you. You also have the bye coming up, too. It could be a nice little stretch after for the Commanders. New Orleans, Philly, Atlanta for opportunities. I don't hate that at all, man. I'll still go with Bo, but I hope you're right. I hope Bo Nix get Myles Garrett, eats him for lunch, keeps an extra motivated Myles Garrett too. What a mistake by Watt you're calling out, you idiot. Like you're awakening a mild man. It's like you're poking Clark Kent, and you're like, hey, stupid, and then he turns into Superman. You wonder what happened. I think Myles Garrett is going to keep feasting along the way. He is absolutely motivated. So I hope you're right. Let's get to another one in the chat here from Joseph. What do we got, Joseph? Who would you pick in full PPR? Pick one between Herbert or Kyler. And for running backs, BRJ. So Brian
Bijan.
Bijan. Okay. Yeah. I was like, wait, which one's the junior? Or Pollard? Let's see. I'm going to say Herbert. Kyler. I think the Cardinals have been a bit underrated because they're in Arizona and they're not a sexy team, but Harbaugh has that team cooking. And J.K. Dobbins on IR, so disappointing with the year he's having.
It was Brian Robinson Jr. he was asking about.
Oh, okay, Brian Robinson Jr. Okay.
So also, I'm going to say this too with my other points as well, like going back to Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. It's kind of like, you're at a good burger spot and you're picking between like 2 really good ones where it's like, what do you prefer that day? That's all that is. With this one here, though, I'm going to go Herbert just because, like you said, the Chargers are humming. The Chargers are clicking at the right time. But with that being said, though, very interesting game coming up with them today. Them and Atlanta, 2 teams fighting for playoff live. This is a playoff game feel to it today in the ATL. And then I got to go for as much as Brian Robinson Jr. can be good, I'd rather go Pollard just because, with Jaden being so elusive on his feet, especially too if the ribs are a problem, you got to lean that way. And I'll say this as well. I really like Kyler Murray. I've always been a bit of a Kyler Murray truther since he was a rookie. And I like what Houston's done, but I just think Houston's that team that's going to be what we call playoff friend zoned. You're good, but you're not good enough to get to the playoffs yet. Maybe give it another year.
Right.
Fun fact, though, too. Arizona and the Chargers for next offseason are in the top 5 for cap money spending. We all know who number 1 is, but
the Pats. Oh, okay.
$130+ million to spend. So I'm already looking to there. But
get yourself a wide receiver, for God's sake, please.
Hopefully from Cincinnati. But with this pick here, so yeah, I go Herbert, I go Pollard, just because look, those are two guys that you can depend upon. It's like that. It's your old reliable. It's that wonderful stadium mustard behind you.
Absolutely.
You're gonna have
it on. You're feeling good.
Get points.
You're feeling good. And my point with Dobbins being out was not that the Chargers can't keep running the ball because you're just going to a committee form with Edwards, probably Kamani Vidal and Haskins. But that again lends itself to Herbert throwing the ball maybe a bit more, right? A big day, a nice. If you're DFS, your DraftKings DFS, have a little Lad McConkey Herbert stack might be tasty. And you look at how Harbaugh, and I hate complimenting Harbaugh's, but man, you got to give the devil his due. Like the coaching job, managing Herbert's high ankle sprain at the start of the year, establishing the culture of the run. They're playing like a cold weather team in California, establishing the run. Then when Herbert's better, you're mixing in the pass. Now you have a complete offense. Defenses don't know what's happening, and they're complete. So, yeah, give me Herbert. And Pollard's been dynamite this year. Tony Pollard has been dynamite, and a large part of that is due to former Browns offensive line coach Bill Callahan, who's there with his son Brian. And I said it right from as soon as that move was made, Griff, I said Tony Pollard's on my hit list to get in fantasy because Bill Callahan builds the running system. Bill Callahan builds that offensive line for run friendly. And I knew he'd have a great year, and he did. So give me Pollard, give me Herbert right there. And Brian Robinson Jr., unfortunately, to Austin Eckler on the IR. So could be some extra opportunities. So I don't hate the Robinson play, but you also got to mix in a couple of Jeremy McNichols, and there's, I think, Chris Rodriguez as well that could be kind of floating around a little bit there. So we look at those ones. Any other questions? You can jump in with us. Hashtag Ask Andy on social. Let's look at a couple other kind of start sits here. What do you make, Griff? Michael Pittman Jr. with the Colts. And I had him on a couple teams. Now, look, the last 2 weeks, increased volume, back-to-back solid starts after a slew of disappointments. It still makes me nervous with Anthony Richardson, but, Michael Pittman Jr.'s thoughts.
So, obviously, I know who Michael Pittman Jr. is playing today. If you ever listened to my podcast before, we have a running theme that he's the YWC Football Talk's favorite wide receiver, just because when I started the podcast was when he was a rookie, and we kind of me and some of my friends have been kind of hey, we like this guy. No Josh Downs today for the Colts.
No.
I believe
Alec Pierce is in.
Yes, Alec Pierce is going to play today. But here's the thing, though. There is for as bad as the Patriots have been this year, there is one player on their defensive side of the ball who wears the number 0, Christian Gonzalez, who has locked up some of the league's best wide receivers. And also, too, I don't know if you know about this, but in 2021, Pittman and Duggar were matched up against each other. That's Kyle Duggar. And the two of them got into a little bit of a fight mid-game that both of them got ejected for. So Michael Pittman Jr. notoriously really hasn't had the best day. Here's the other thing, too. The Colts, in the post Tom Brady, they're 2-1 against them, but one of those was a terrible game in Germany last year. The other was a 26-3 shellacking that got Frank Reich fired. So I would personally avoid Michael Pittman for today. I would just, if you're going to rely on anyone, it's going to be Taylor. It's going to be AR-15, one of the two there.
I'm getting a little, I'm getting a little bit of the ick when it comes to Michael Pittman. We have some good matchups today as well. Just overall, rival Steelers, Bengals, Jaylen Warren. You could talk me into a flex for Jaylen Warren for the Steelers.
That's one of my bets I love. I'm on the Steelers plus 2.5 today from a point spreading standpoint. I think that, look, Mike Tomlin's an underdog. It's the same thing too as Washington. This is a get-right game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lost a bad divisional game last week.
And had to sit on it for this long. Like, they've been eating at that. And Baby Pickens crying, about all that. It's Heinz Field to me. They're in Heinz Field. Yeah. This is screaming. No, they're in Cincinnati.
Ooh, never mind. They're in Cincinnati. But even still, this is another game. You do this. Bet the under. Bet the under of the Steelers plus 2.5.
Grind it out. Absolutely.
Grind it out. I love Jaylen Warren as a flex, by the way. Love that. Love that option.
I'm with that. Let's get one more fantasy question, then we'll jump to the parlay party. Let's bring it up from Rick. Jalen Hurts versus Baltimore. Justin Herbert versus Atlanta. This one I'm facing while on the playoff bubble in a league. Ooh. First of all, that Eagles-Ravens match, I can't wait to watch that. I hope the Eagles put the boots to the Ravens, of course. But Philly on a 7-game win streak, that's going to be a lot of fun. The Baltimore secondary, weak. Roquan Smith could be coming back today. So keep it. That is significant when it comes to kind of spying, keeping around that line of scrimmage. I personally think I'd go Justin Herbert still against Atlanta. Little less ferocious on the front seven.
Little less ferocious on the front seven. Philly kind of due for a loss here, you know. They've been looking good, but this is kind of that game where, and this is why I worry with Buffalo as a whole too, because Buffalo's been looking so good coming off that hot win against KC. So I look at it like that, but also too, for as much as he's in your division, you don't like him. Lamar Jackson's only lost one game in his career to the NFC, which is weirdly enough against Daniel Jones. But this is
really.
Just think about it. This is the spot for either team, for whether you're Baltimore or you're Philly. If you win this, you basically win second prize for if you're probably going to get the second seed in your respective conference. That's the thing. There's a lot on the line for this out of conference game as well. And for Philly as well, they could still get the 2 seed because this doesn't go against their conference record. It just means that when they play down the line, they got some games to win. But I got to go Herbert here for the elements. But there's another player on the other side of the ball that I love to get into the end zone today.
Who?
The player we talked about earlier, who we mistaked for Brian Robinson Jr. That's Bijan.
Oh, Bijan.
Yeah,
little Bijan. Yeah, what a year. What a year. Oh, sensational. That, you know, for real, we could be talking about Bijan Robinson possibly as a first overall fantasy pick next year.
Oh,
I don't think that's ridiculous.
I think if right now, if it's one of those things where it's like someone comes to me and screams in my face, you have to pick someone, I'd still go Barkley, but he's definitely top 5.
Yeah, well, because Barkley too, like, not to talk too much in the future, we'll talk about this in the offseason, but it's like Barkley also is yelling at you of like, big comeback year with all the injuries, you know, whereas Bijan is still on the kind of the ascending side.
I'd rather draft Bijan Robinson. It's kind of like this year. I took Breece Hall over Christian McCaffrey, the one league I had first overall in, and Breece Hall and the Jets have had a really bad year, which I'm not complaining about, but from a standpoint of potential, it was more about Bijan having the bigger year than Christian McCaffrey having another career year. Right.
And Breece Hall is going to be playing for the Jets today as well. Just an injury note on that. All right, let's start the parlay party up. Let's do some sick picks. Let's go.
It's time for Sick Picks. Brought to you by DraftKings. The crown is yours.
All right, we are sick picking it, baby. Get the parlay party going. We got the streamers up. We're going. To start the parlay party, we'll recap our San Francisco Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, snowy Buffalo, Orchard Park, Sunday Night Football, under 44.5 points total. Josh Allen, anytime touchdown. And you know what? Let's skip as well. Let's add on to this, our ultimate ticket here, Griff. Steelers, Bengals, plus we can get plus 138 for the Steelers outright win. I am totally with you. I think that is yelling at us for a Pittsburgh comeback.
Exactly. It's totally yelling at you. It's that Pittsburgh get right game. It's kind of the whole, I know divisional games are like this, but then think about it. Last week, we all knew the Mike Tomlin, so much going on the road Thursday night. This screams bounce back. Because also too, when he's an underdog, you do not bet against Mike Tomlin.
No, they are so well coached, but they do have it's funny that Pittsburgh does have a blind spot towards immature wide receivers. Yes. Like Pickens is an idiot. Chase Claypool is an idiot. Juju's an idiot. Antonio Brown became an idiot after Geno Smith clocked him. And it's just like, or not Geno Smith, who's the old Cincinnati guy, whatever his name was, crowned him and then brought him back there. Pickens is an idiot. I might put him actually anytime touchdown. He might get right. I'm not going to put it on our parlay party ticket though, our sick picks. Chargers, Falcons. This one, Griff, do we want this on the ticket? Do we like maybe something with Justin Herbert? I don't like this 1.5. This might be a stay away game from a straight up bet. Do you like anything specifically betting wise on the Chargers Falcons?
Besides Bijan Robinson, but he's minus 170, I would lean no. I also think too, this is a game where it could I would also avoid it, because I could see this either the over just hitting or the under hitting, because I feel like everyone's going to think, oh, look at all these teams. They're really good. Chargers have let up 30 points last week. So this is a true test for that Chargers defense too, because if you look at the Chargers record, a lot of the good teams they've played, good offensive teams like the Bengals and like the Ravens, they've lit them up. The Falcons are capable of doing that too. It's just which Chargers defense do we get? Because I know he's from Michigan, but Jesse Minter as well runs a very college-style defense there in LA as well. So a couple things to watch for there, but I personally would avoid it. I am starting Ladd McConkey in my fantasy lineup over Amari Cooper, and Ricky Pearsall as well. But I would, besides a Bijan Robinson touchdown, which is kind of like, giving a baby candy, I probably would not bet anything else in this game.
I got one I'll add to the ticket here. Justin Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns, minus 108.
You know what? I like that. I think that'll happen.
Like 2 touchdowns? That's not unreasonable.
No, not at all.
That's pretty good.
Also, your potential Quentin Johnston. I know people like to mock him, but potential there as well. Think about it.
Can he catch the damn ball, Griff? He went over for. I had to start him in an emergency and buy him again last week. That bum dropped all 5 passes, got a goose egg. Quentin
Hey, we have something in common. We both got cursed by Mageddon.
Yeah, he's out of here. He is absolutely out of here. Let's put this up by Rick here, Shane. Your thoughts on this parlay in Pitt versus Cincinnati? Calvin Austin III over 23.5 receiving yards. Pickens over 4.5 receptions. Gesicki under 24.5. The only thing I don't like about that, Rick, is the Calvin Austin III, because he gives off Darnell Mooney in Chicago vibes. He got a touchdown the Thursday night game. He could do nothing for 3 weeks and then go off. That part scares me. The 23.5 isn't outrageous, but it spooks me a little bit.
It does for me too. If I were to put these into a ranking system of which one I like the most, it's the Pickens over 4.5.
Yeah.
I like Gesicki maybe lean around that line because Mike Gesicki's, for the first time in his career, he's playing with a very good quarterback. He played with Tua. He played with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He played with Mac Jones. And that's not a knock on Tua. Tua's a good quarterback, but you know what I mean? He's not playing with a top 5 guy in Joe Burrow. Yeah. This is the kind of game where, Mike Gesicki could potentially maybe do that. So that's the line too, where it's like to tiptoe around it. But no, Calvin Austin, I agree with you. But Darnell Mooney too, though, someone who's played a lot better since he's gone to Atlanta. Yeah, he has. He's actually become a decent part of that lineup. Let's get to your Pats. Colts, Pats, 2.5-point favorites are the visiting Colts. Anthony Richardson, inconsistent. Over under set at 42.5. I'm not sure what the weather's supposed to be like in New England today. Is it? Can I give a Celsius temperature? Because obviously we're in Canada. Sure. It's about 1 to 2 degrees Celsius, sunny. It's gonna be the coldest game Drake May's ever played in his career. 38 Fahrenheit for our American friends. Yeah, 38 Fahrenheit. So it's your typical New England December weather. One bet I saw that I like, Drake May over 27.5 rushing yards. Oh, you like that one? The Colts defensive line is one that's slowly been starting to play a little bit better. Laiu Latu. I'm not sure if I think DeForest Buckner is going to be a go. Oh no, wait, he's still on the. He might still be on the IR. I'm not too sure. I haven't paid too much attention to the injury reports this week. But think about it. With Drake May, the offensive lines looked wonky. They did pick up Lester Cotton this week off waivers from Miami. I think Drake May's gonna have to do a little bit of tiptoeing to, work his way around there. So if you want that, 28.5. So it's 28.5. What you said? 20. It was 27.5 last I looked, but you can do 27 or 28.5. I got 28.5 here. Just looking at his rushing totals in the last previous games, we have 26, 27, 24, 95, 46. So right around that mark. Yeah. So, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you could see it happening. You could see him creeping right around there as well. For this game, though, I do look at the under. I don't think because for as inconsistent as the Colts are, I don't think they explode for 34 on offense like Miami did last week. I think this is a little more lower scoring game. I see it in the realms of high teens, low 20s. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. Yeah. Just because the point spread is only 2.5. That's it. The Colts are only minus 2.5 point favorites. Richardson hasn't earned the automatic right yet either. Yeah, he hasn't heard that right to be hey, you're going to be really good. The other one I like for this game as well, it is a bit of a long shot. Last I checked, I think it was plus 310. But Hunter Henry anytime touchdown. He hasn't gotten in the end zone in a little bit. Drake May's favorite target, by the way. Or if you really feel like having fun and doing something with a little bit less odds, plus 110, Ramondre Stevenson anytime touchdown. He's been quiet the last couple of weeks. Oh, but he really has. I'm looking. I wouldn't mind a total receptions for Hunter Henry. Let's see what that is real quick. Because you're right. Over 4.5 plus 108. Does that make sense to you? Is that a little rich? I
5
would probably
catches?
drop it to either 4+ or over 3.5.
Okay, so a
You know
little
where you can do the alternate line where you can pick 1+, 2+, 3+, 4+.
Yes.
I would do 4+, just so if he gets that fourth, you're set in stone, and the odds probably creep down around maybe -110, -115.
Okay, we'll swing back to that one then. Okay, let's do a couple more on the ticket here. If you guys got any best bets like Rick did, pop them in the chat. Let me know. Okay, so we got, let's see, Houston, Jacksonville. We were talking about that. I don't know, man. I kind of want to steer clear of that one. That one's a bit yucky. Seattle, Jets. God, I think Seattle should. How are the Jets favored?
Because the Seattle, this is a textbook Seattle Seahawk loss. They're coming off a win. They look really good. Geno had a good
country.
Geno Smith is essentially an older version of Anthony Richardson. He'll have one game where he wows you, and he'll have one game where you look at him and go, I'm not going to say it, but you have a game where you look at him and go, what? WTF, Geno? You look at him where you're like.
Revenge game back to New York, though, for Geno?
I think that ship's kind of sailed, though, because
it's been long enough.
It's been long enough to where it's sailed. I think there's only Sam Darnold can say that for now on. With all the reports because here's the thing, too. This could be a potential Jets win spot because of the whole, Joe Douglas got fired. This will truly show if the team's given up or not. If they go out there and get embarrassed today, yeah, this team's just mailing it in. They've already booked their trips to Cancun. Going back to the last game you said, though, I love the Texans -3.5 in this game. Think about it. This is a true CJ Stroud bounce back. I know everyone likes to make fun of him and say, "Oh, well, this is what happens when you do podcasts all summers and defenses get tape on you." I think this is that proper right spot for Stroud. Jacksonville can keep it close. Jacksonville can do this. The other thing with this game as well is the fact that the home record for Jacksonville is 2-3. Only one of those wins was in Jacksonville, though, and that was against the Colts, a team who they've beaten in Jacksonville for 10 straight years.
Right.
This is the spot, and also Rick, pull up Rick's comment right now. I want you to highlight this.
Which one? Oh, we got that. Oh, Stroud destroys bad teams. Yeah,
this is the other point right here.
Yep.
Texans,
good call, Rick.
I would hammer that if I was rich enough. I would mega nuke whale, crazy bet that pull up to the sports book in Vegas or Fallsview Casino and Resorts with a briefcase and say, here, this is why I want to bet on this. Texans, if I had to rank it, basically, they say don't pick with children you love the most.
Yeah.
Texans plus -3.5, excuse me. That's the bet to make in that game.
That's pretty good. Okay, let's pick one more out of the remaining games here. Griff, we have options: Arizona, Vikings, Buccaneers, Panthers.
Seattle, New York. I just avoid that game.
Me too. I'm avoiding that. Titans, Commanders, and Eagles, Ravens, and Browns, Broncos. Pick one game we'll tackle to add on to the ticket. Finalize it up.
You know what? It's a weather-proofed game. Give me the Minnesota Vikings and the Arizona Cardinals. It's December 3rd.
Minnesota.
It's in Minnesota. Even if it was in Arizona, think about it. Even if it was in Arizona, weather wouldn't be an issue. This is a game where, look, you said it on my show, Kyler Murray and turf, because with Ravens, Eagles has the recipe for a bit. Those games where everyone's like, oh, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be fun.
Could be wonky. It could be low scoring.
It could be a wonky, low-scoring game. Also, like I've been saying this too, if it totals, and this is for your viewers as well, if an over-under total goes over 50, either avoid it or take the under, because basically you're expecting a shootout to happen. And here's the other thing too. I don't see a world where an Eagles defense gives up above 25 points.
No, I'm with you. I'm trying to do the math here. Yeah, that one could be an under. So do we for Vikings Cardinals? Do we like Vikings 3.5 -104?
Oh yeah, I'm on the Vikings. I'm on the Vikings wholeheartedly. Look,
let's go.
It's a home spot for them. Arizona too. Think about it. They've had to go from Arizona up to Seattle, back to Phoenix. Now they're going from Phoenix to Minneapolis. They're traveling a little bit of a ways to get there. The Vikings are 4-1 at home.
Defense has been good.
And here's the other thing too. Cardinals are 2 they've only won 2 games away from Arizona the entire year.
If it's at home, maybe a different story, but yeah, on the road, I like that.
Yes, and the last time these two teams got together as well, 34-26, and that's when Arizona was really bad. So if I had to put a bet on this one that I do like the Vikings. Also to 44.5 points, that's too low. That's just, that's too low. That's asking each team to get 3 touchdowns. That's asking each. Yeah.
That's not bad.
Think about it too. Sam Darnold last week as well. The Vikings look, they let that spot up late. I think this is a statement game for the Vikings. If the Vikings are legit, this is the kind of game you win. Or the Cardinals play spoiler. I would rather take the money line with the Vikings and just either ride or die with them winning or losing than them covering. Because, and here's the other thing too, because like we say as well, because the Vikings are trying to keep up with the Lions, because you know what, you got the Packers nipping on your heels, because you've got the Eagles. This is that kind of game for the Vikings. That's a true statement game. And also too, I know last week he had a career day in Jordan Addison.
Right.
Who on that Arizona secondary is locking up number 18? Who's doing it? I need to look up the odds. I'm going to pull up my DraftKings app right now because I need to find this game because there's one bet on here that it is very high risk, high reward, but I would dabble in. And that is plus 750 Justin Jefferson 2 touchdowns.
Woo! Okay, we won't put that on the ticket. That's a standalone one.
That's a single bet, like your Drew Lock.
Ooh, okay. All right, so let's see here. I put it in for the money line for Minnesota. And that's sorry, not the money. I still okay. You know what? So we'll go money line.
Yeah,
let's take that out there. So minus 172. Let's see. Okay, so if we put on our 6-legger a $10 bet for, let's recap briefly. Get your pencils out, kids. Let's go under 44.5. Bills, 49ers, Josh Allen anytime touchdown. Pittsburgh Steelers money line. Justin Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Texans by 3.5. Vikings money line. $10 bet pays out $598.18. That wouldn't be bad on Sunday. We like that? How you like it?
Music to my ears. I'm going through this right now. So the under there, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then I got to add it in myself, the Justin Herbert. Oh,
1.5.
Passing prop. I just got to get my passing props paid, passing touchdowns. Justin Herbert over 1.5. I got it right there. I am.
Odds just jumped up. Odds just jumped. Now we got $10 pays out 601.04. Okay, we're making money already.
So I'm just trying to clarify here. So we have the Vikings money line, the Steelers money line. Oh, I got to add in one more. That was the Texans.
Texans 3.5.
Texans at 3.5. Right now, the odds are kind of jumping towards. I think there's a little bit more money coming into the Jags right now because the Jags odds just drop down to minus 118. Bet against them because here's the thing too: when money's coming in one way, go the opposite way. Go against the crowd.
Yes. So, go against. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'm placing $10 on this puppy. Houston Texans minus 3.5. Herbert over 1.5 passing TDs. Pittsburgh money line. Minnesota money line. Under San Francisco, Buffalo. We're going to have a great day with this little puppy.
Let's go. All right, Griff, tell people where they can hear your fine podcast, sir, and all your work, your TikToks.
Okay. So my all fine work, guys. I have NFL work. I have CFL work. NFL, it's all the betting stuff. It's all the fun stuff. Mr. Griff B. Also, too, like if you see some of the stuff behind me, I do cover the Toronto Argonauts up here in Canada. So I do write as well. Sports Blitz with Griff. Everything is in my link tree if you go to my Twitter. And Griff Sports Talk, that's where I post all my funny content when it comes to the betting videos. Right now, since the CFL is over, I'm doing NFL, and I'm starting to dabble back into NHL. I would have done it yesterday, but when you're an adult who owns his own home, life gets in the way. So no, if they went out yesterday, but we got 2 coming this week. But yeah, follow me for all the fun stuff, all the betting stuff. Andy and I love to talk fantasy. And who knew this wonderful friendship blossomed because of a simple Ask Andy request.
That's right. You never know what happens with hashtag Ask Andy.
Yes,
right.
Which I have one more for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
One league. I have the Seattle Seahawks defense against the Jets. Do I keep it or do I go somewhere else?
What are your other defensive options? Do you have it to pull up?
Give me
because I was thinking myself, I have to play Minnesota in one league, and I was like, against the Cardinals, I'd rather go somewhere else. I didn't have any better option. So okay. That's where it depends on the options. You got Seattle. Let me just.
Would I go defense. Chargers or Rams? Are the 2 that I look at that I like?
Ooh, Chargers. Okay,
the Rams are in a get right spot here as well against. The Saints.
Against the Saints on the road, or do we go Chargers? Ooh, I you know what? I kind of like that. Rams. I think maybe we go with the Rams here because the Saints. All right, they're cute. Coach Rizzi's jumping around and stuff, but. Yeah, I think maybe you go with the Rams there because that Jet stuff is a little spooky, and the Falcons you never know. So let's go Rams on defense.
Although the Seahawks are projected to get about a point more, so this right now on Yahoo, it's only their projection is 5 points against the 5 points, and also here's the thing: in the last couple weeks, game, and they had 9 points against New England. That's because they had a interception. They kind of had their day with Drake May. But as well, special teams against Darren Rizzi have been pretty bad. So that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
If you want a kicker, guys, don't take the kicker going up against the Saints. I got some decision making to do now. Do I go Rams or do I go Seahawks? Which NFC West defense do I like more?
I think it depends for Seattle, like we talked about. Do you trust them going cross country to New York?
Both are playing
in that game, right? Playing in that. Now they did stomp Arizona a lot. The defense went off for 20 fantasy points last week, but week before that, 2 weeks before that, back-to-back weeks, actually 3 weeks in a row, 2-5-5 fantasy points. So I think the Seahawks are a bit more boom and bust. I think the safer pick is probably the Rams, probably with a higher floor, lower ceiling. But it really depends what you think on this game. And if Aaron Rodgers, and like we said, do the Jets show that they still care, or do they lay an egg? If they show that they care, Seattle's defense, DST might have a bad fantasy day. If they call it in, could have a great day. So I think it's a bit boom or bust. So it depends. If you want to go a little safe, you got a little wiggle room, and you can, if it doesn't hit out, you're okay. Maybe go with the Seahawks on a boom. But if you want to play it a little safer, I'd say Rams.
You know what? I like those odds. It's kind of like right now I got the Andy in a Rams jersey, and I have Andy in a Seahawks jersey trying to tell me what to do.
I tell you what, Rick says, great show. Thank you, boys. All right, we're going to kick it. Follow Griff. Make sure, hey, we're going to be back Monday Night Football live tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern to get you ready. Griff, thank you so much.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure to finally get to, because Andy's been coming on my show for years. It was finally a pleasure to come on and do this with you.
Yes. Love it, buddy. We'll do it again real soon.
Absolutely.
Okay, there you go. There's Griff Bordignon from YWC Talk and all his great content there. And again, Browns at Denver taking on the Broncos. We'll be back live. We'll be doing that Monday Night Football tomorrow. And you have to remember, folks, that with all the betting talk that we're doing, right, with everything there, we got to get ready and score some holiday shopping. Did you get any holiday shopping done this weekend? How about you pick up some touchdowns? They're on sale at DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings is doorbuster, profit boost, and bet one, get one promotions, all types of touchdown bets. That's phenomenal on the Sunday. Come on. So what you can do, you can pick, anytime touchdown. We talked about Josh Allen, maybe Josh Allen touchdown. You like for the Browns, maybe Cedric Tillman's up, maybe a Jerry Jeudy touchdown. Whatever you want to do, grab some touchdowns with DraftKings Sportsbook. They're on sale from Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 6sports to opt in. That's code 6sports only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
There you go, kids. That'll wrap it up for this week. Again, we'll be back Monday live, 7 p.m. Eastern. Get you set for Browns, Broncos, fantasy football tips. Look ahead to the upcoming week. Some best bets for the game and have a lot of fun. Thank you so much to my guest, Griff Bordignon, and to producer Shane. And, of course, to all of you jumping in. Love interacting with all of you. We will see you tomorrow. And even though they're not playing until Monday night, go Browns.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.